Hello friends, welcome to Rajas Data Engineering. In this video, I'm going to explain the first part of architecture of Azure Data Warehousing, that is Azure Synapse Analytics. So in this video, in this part, I'm going to explain MPP, that is Massively Parallel Processing. I have created simple diagram to explain the architecture of MPP. So this is the architecture. So I will explain this architecture. Then finally, I will summarize all the important terminologies that are used in this architecture, such as control node, MPP engine, compute node, DMS, storage. Now I will summarize all these terminologies. So let us start understanding the architecture. So it starts with user application. User application is nothing but it could be stored procedure or it could be one SQL query. It could be simple select statement or it could be complex SQL query containing multiple join conditions. It could be anything. So when user submits the application into Azure Data Warehousing, then control node, that is the connecting point, the user applications connects to control node using ODPC or JDPC connection. Once control node receives the application, then it will start processing. Control node consists of MPP engine, that is massively parallel processing engine, plus DMS. DMS is nothing but data movement service. So we can say control node, that is the heart of this architecture. So this MPP, that is already part of control node, but just to highlight, I have created in a separate box. But you can assume, this MPP, this is already part of this control node. So when the user code is received, what happens is, MPP will start, start splitting the task into multiple smaller, distributed parallel processing. It will create the plan for the user query. Let's say we are working on big data application, which means the query has to process millions of records. So the MPP engine, that is the brain of the system, and this will start creating a plan, and it will start splitting the task into multiple smaller tasks. Once the task is splitted, that can be run in in parallel execution. Then MPP engine will pass the control to the compute node, and compute node and MPP engine, these are completely decoupled. Once compute node got the instruction from MPP engine, which means which task to be executed, then what happens is, compute engine, it would contain separate processor and memory. Each and every compute node would contain separate memory and processor, and this compute node is completely scalable. And in the architecture, we would contain only one control node, but we can have 60 compute nodes. Now when I say 60, that is the maximum limit. It starts with one. We can have only one compute node, and it can expand. It can go. It can automatically scale up to 60. So one compute node, that is called 100 data warehousing unit, TWU. That is nothing but a data warehousing unit. That is the measurement unit used in Azure data warehousing. This is mainly used for pricing purpose. How much data warehousing unit you are going to use. Based on that, your billing will differ. So when you are going to use only one compute node, which means you can say you are going to use 100 data warehousing unit. So if you are going to use the 60 is parallel compute nodes, then it means 60 multiplied by 100, which means 6,000 data warehousing unit. So your architecture, it can vary, starting from 100 data warehousing unit up to 6,000 data warehousing unit, or in other words, one compute node to 60 compute node. Once compute node started receiving the command from MPP, then compute node will start acting on that. So let's say it is going to use only one compute node. Just for example, we can assume it is going to use only one compute node. Then what happens is, compute node will start reading the data from the storage layer. That is the first step. So the data would be stored in the storage layer in the form of MDP files. That is common database storage file format. And compared to traditional data warehousing, the storage architecture is also completely different in Azure data warehouse. So Azure data warehouse uses columnar storage, which means the data would be stored as column object in a table. If you have five columns, which means the column would be stored as a separate objects. But in the traditional warehouse, it would be row based storage. So this columnar format is always good for performance, because most of the time, in a particular query, we are selecting few columns or we are using only few columns in our var class. So that is the reason if you're going to use columnar storage, then it is going to be super fast. So this is also one of the important change compared to traditional warehouse. So coming to compute node first, compute node will start reading the data. Let's say we have issued a command select star from employee table. Then what happens is, the compute node will start reading the employee table file in the form of .mdp. So while reading the data into compute node, it will split the data into 60 partitions. This is also standard. Even though how many compute nodes you are going to have, irrespective of that, it will create 60 partitions when it reads the data from storage layer. So in this case, the employee data would be split into 60 partitions, and all the 60 partitions would be kept in compute node 1. So this compute node processor will start processing all the partitions one by one, which means it will iterate for 60 times. Then the final result would be returned to the MPP engine or control node, and it will go back to the user. So, as part of this, elastic in nature, compute node can scale out automatically as per the configuration. Let's say, for our employee table, we need two compute nodes. Then what happens is, the two compute nodes would be created, and as I told earlier, the employee data would be partitioned into 60 pieces, which means 30 pieces will go to compute node 1, and another 30 pieces will go to compute node 2, which means each process can iterate only 30 times, which means the processing time would be half of the original time. So this is how it can scale out the compute node, and the performance can be doubled or tripled. And in the same example, if you're going to use three compute node, which means what happens is the data would be splitted into 60 partitions, and each compute node will receive just 20 partitions each. So what happens, the each compute node can iterate only 20 times, which means the speed would be tripled. So let us assume it is compute node is working with its full capacity, which means 60 compute node. What happens is when it reads employee data from storage layer, it would split the 60 partitions, and one compute node will receive just one partition, which means there is no iteration. It will complete the process very quickly, because there are 60 parallel compute nodes are working together. So this is the overall architecture. Okay, in this architecture, this control node and compute node and storage layer all are completely decoupled. This is one of the major change compared to traditional data warehouse. In traditional data warehouse, it is not possible to scale up or scale out only one particular component, either computing engine or storage. That is not possible. But this is possible in MPP architecture. And another important feature that we have to note down is, in MPP architecture or in Azure Data Warehouse, we can pause the service and resume later. So in this way, we can save the cost. So if you look at this MPP architecture, compute node, that is actually consuming a lot of money. So when we are using only one compute node, probably we don't need to spend much money. But if you are going to expand maybe 2 compute nodes or 60 compute nodes, then we need to spend a lot of money. So once our job is completed, then we can go for pass mode, which means this particular in this complete architecture, control node would be active and storage layer would be active, but this compute node will go off. So we don't need to pay, we can reduce the billing on this part. So this is one of the super feature given by Azure Data Warehouse. So once our job is done, then we can pass compute node, and whenever we need it later, we can resume that. In most of the project, this part would be automated. For example, if you're going to receive the data on particular time, let's say 8 a.m. in the morning every day, we have to process complex, we need to process some big data. What happens is automatically we can resume the service during that time, and once the process is done, then we can pass the service. So this is the overall architecture. Now let me summarize all the important terminologies that we are using in this architecture. First one, control node. As I told, this is the heart or brain of the architecture, and this is also the connecting point through which user application goes to gets into Azure Data Warehouse. And it is consisting DMS, that is data movement service. Maybe I have missed in the architecture just one part, that is DMS. Okay, why do we need this DMS? DMS is nothing but data movement service. For example, if we have to move the data across the nodes, then this is playing key role. For example, we have created 60 partitions, and that is distributed across 60 nodes. Let us assume it is working with full capacity, 60 nodes. Then what happens? 60 partitions got distributed across 60 different nodes, and we have to perform some group A operation, which means for some group A operations, the data would be distributed across all the nodes, but we have to bring it to particular node. So basically, we have to transfer the data between one node to another node. So that process can happen through DMS. So coming back to our terminologies, we understood control node. Control node is consisting of MPP engine plus DMS. MPP engine that is responsible to split the data into multiple smaller tasks, and that can be executed in parallel. And DMS that is mainly used for data movement service. If data should be moved from one node to another node, either between compute nodes or compute node to control node, then DMS plays an important role. And the next one, compute node that is actually worker. It receives the command from massively parallel processing engine, then it start executing. So compute node, it can scale out automatically based on the configuration. And this compute node is completely decoupled from control node and storage system, and it can expand independently. Okay, then the next one is DMS. DMS is nothing but data movement service. Now this is responsible to move the data from one node to another node. If you have to perform certain calculation, in most of the cases, we need to group the data according to particular key. Then for that purpose, DMS is responsible to move the data from one node to another node. Next one, MPP engine. So MPP engine, that is coordinating all the process. It is responsible to split the task into smaller one, and also it is responsible to coordinate with compute nodes, and is responsible to get the job done. Storage layer is completely decoupled with compute layer, and storage layer can scale up with no limit and independently. And the other one, last term that we have to understand is data warehousing unit. As I told, this is the measuring unit of compute node. So one compute node is equivalent to 100 data warehousing unit. And in MPP architecture, it can contain 60 nodes maximum, which means it can scale up to 6,000 data warehousing unit. These are the important terminologies. I hope you understood the architecture and also understood the important terminologies. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please subscribe this channel and don't forget to click on the bell button. Thank you.